right, welcome back to episode 5 of the Demonic Discussions podcast. I am your co-host with the most, Cameron Pierce, and today we are joined by none other than Jake Phillips, Emma Weber, and we have a special surprise for y'all. Sadly, our co-host Macy had to step away from the podcast for a bit due to personal issues, so we hope everything kind of resolves quick, and hopefully we'll be able to get her back sometime soon. But in the meantime, we have the one and only Mad Mischief stepping in to become the next co-host of the Demonic Discussions podcast. So, y'all remember her from the last episode, the only episode we had to put a mature language warning on. If you can probably guess, this episode is going to be pretty fun. So, Hazel, welcome to the crew. And so for today's episode, we have a very special guest. We told you guys about it in at the end of last episode, and we got it going here. So from Art Mortis in Killen, Alabama, we have Courtney Matson. Also, I know I'm going to butcher the name. I know I'm going to butcher the name so badly.
I believe in you.
I believe oh my God, I can't even say it. Courtney, can you please say it? I don't know how to do it.
It's a Sacre Core 96.
There we go. So you might know her from TikTok and whatnot. Specifically, a lot of you might know her for Alloy, as well as the Trash Child known as Scatterbrain.
Yes, Trash Baby.
So yeah, Courtney, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
All right, so I'm gonna get things rolling here. First off, just give me a little background as to how you got into the haunt business. What got you start, and what really inspired you to get into the business like this?
So kind of like funny background to start before even going into like actually how I got into haunting. I grew up kind of being a little bit of a titty baby. Like I was scared of everything. Like if it tells you anything, like my mom would have to go into a Halloween store and get a manager's permission to take costumes outside because I refused to go in them. So I was horrible when it came to like horror movies and all that sort of stuff. But there was one day, let's see, how long ago was this? I want to say like 2015, where a friend of mine was like, "Hey, you like doing art stuff? Come help me paint at this haunted house." I'm like, "Okay, never been in a haunted house before, but let's go." And I go there, and I was a little bit nervous with because I'd never seen props that realistic. I'd never seen anything like that before. It kind of wigged me out to begin with. But I really enjoyed like the painting aspect of it. But when this occurred, it was also really close to the season starting. So they were having trainings and the like. And so there was actors coming up to me that were like, "Oh, hey, who are you? Haven't seen you. Like, you ever tried acting? It's really fun, yada, yada." And I didn't really want to do it at first, but the actor coordinator at the time, this was at Warehouse 31 in Pelham, but the actor coordinator, we called him Hammer, and he was like, "Well, how about this? We'll put you in an area that has an exit door right next to it. There's no fog, there's no strobes. It's not really intense at all. You can leave at any time. Give it a shot, see how you like it." I'm like, "Okay, cool." And of course, first group, I was absolutely hooked. And the rest is history. So,
okay. Yeah. And what really got you into ARCS? I know ARCS is one of the bigger boys when it comes to the Southeast. Mm-hmm. At least in total size of everything, as far as I know, it's up there with us at Netherworld and such. Over here in the Southeast area of the country. What really got you over to ARCS?
Coming to ARC specifically, so when I was still at Warehouse, because I stayed there for like almost 2 years, but I didn't stay that last season because there was issues with management. And like I won't go into like the full thing, but if it tells you anything, we had like 30 plus people that left basically because of one guy. And so this one night, like a bunch of people left and kind of spread out all over everywhere to different haunts in Alabama. And I'm from Birmingham, so ARCS was 2 hours away, but there was a group of maybe like 10 or so that were like, okay, well, we're going to drive up there. Let's just see how this goes. Because Vinny, the owner of Arcs, had reached out and was like, hey, we're more than welcome for y'all to come up here and try it out. So went up there, and that was easily like the most welcoming, like haunt family kind of aspect I had ever had. And everybody was just so loving and accepting, and it was just amazing in every way. And there was just like just the kind of feeling inside that it was right. And so I chose to stick there. And like after I had got done with university and everything, I officially moved up here. So I've been up here for probably like 2 years, getting close to 2 years, something like that. So I'm officially living up here, and Arcs is considered my home haunt indefinitely now. So, yeah.
Okay. And I mean, Arcs is definitely a place that it's on my bucket list to make it out there to check y'all out.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've heard so much about it. I mean, obviously you got the carpetbagger who's came through, I believe, 2 times, I believe.
Yes. Yep.
And really, that's how I found out really about Arcs. Because I mean, at the time, I was working at a smaller haunt about 40 minutes out of Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd never really heard of the real big guys. Obviously, everyone's heard of Netherworld, but no one's really heard of much outside of the states. And when I saw Carpetbagger go through, I started thinking, this actually looks like a pretty cool place.
Yeah.
And the work that y'all do there is awesome. I will tell you that right now. And
Thank you.
guys, if y'all are in the Georgia or Atlanta or Alabama area and y'all are seeing this, y'all need to try to make it out to Arts Mortis. It's definitely worth it. A lot of guest actors as well, especially when y'all do like the legions and whatnot. Really, really cool stuff.
Thank you.
So I'm actually going to pass this over to one of our next hosts if anyone would like to take over for some more questions.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and go. So you've been doing makeup and acting about the same amount of time, yeah?
Uh, Pretty much. When it came to like makeup, I just kind of barely dabbled in it to begin with, but got really serious when I officially got to Arcs and started airbrushing and everything.
Okay, so do you prefer doing makeup or acting? Is there one that you prefer more or?
Acting, absolutely, because I mean that's like how I started, and that's the core of it for me, you know. And yeah, that's where the heart lies. Like I absolutely love it. I wouldn't be doing it without it. I couldn't just do makeup by itself. I mean, of course I love that too, but at the end of the day, it's about like just having fun with friends and scaring people, you know?
Yeah, I love it.
Yes.
Um, so was there something in particular that just really sparked it for you? Like, was it the way that first group reacted or?
I would say probably that because I feel like a lot of people can relate to this. If you have a background of like bullying or anything like that, where you're kind of the victim in a situation, being able to scare act puts you in a position of power and being
Mhm.
able to like take that back, you know? And I think that's something I needed in that time in my life, like going through what I was going through. And so being able to have that experience like kind of ignited the fire, and then everything else just kind of like followed along with it, you know?
Yeah, I love that. That's something I have noticed a lot is a lot of our new actors, they're victims of bullying and all this horrible stuff and they're coming to escape and just have control over something and have some power to let it out and it's
Mm-hmm.
always just
Be
seeing
their
them from the
weird
beginning
self.
of the night to the end of the night where they got to let it out, like it makes my heart happier knowing that
Mm-hmm.
we're helping them.
It's like therapy.
That's what I tell people. I'm like, this is my weirdest form of therapy, all right?
And you can't knock it till you try it. So,
Truly. Until you've screamed bloody murder at a stranger and they can't get mad at you because they paid for it, you don't understand.
exactly. And it's also a thing of whenever people are interested in acting but are nervous about it, I'm like, think about it as a socially acceptable place to scream at people.
Yeah.
So,
All right. And My final question is, what's your wildest story you have from haunting?
Ooh.
Or just a
Ah,
wild story?
there's so
There's
many.
infinite.
In all honesty, I'll tell one from like uh probably beginning of haunt career. Like that was maybe just, I think that was my second year. Yeah, that was like my second year. And then one that happened this season. The one from a few years ago when I was still at Warehouse 31, I had created my character Envry, which is like my voodoo witchy kind of character. And at that time, I had become the scene leader over that area. It was like a, I think like graveyard temple sort of situation. And I would normally hit in threes. And this is something I do a lot. It's just my kind of weird tactic is doing something where it's just a hint, like barely showing up, like from a corner or something. Second's a little bit more intense, like maybe just a tiny little pop scare or something. And then my third would normally be a lot more dramatic and being like taking a whole scene and making it really interactive and, yada yada. But there's one point where I was doing my thing and I was in a scene called Body Dump. And the cloak that I have for Envy, I swear, if I pull that thing up, almost like, the Dracula kind of style of like pulling it up over the nose, I was pretty much invisible wherever I would be at, just with how the lighting was and how I would just go into corners. So I would do a thing where there was a kind of a like a boot hole type situation over in the corner where people were expecting an actor to come out. So I would take the opposite corner so people would be focusing on that corner. So it'd be a really nice pop scare. So I would do that thing. And there was this one kid in particular that night did the whole like classic trope horror movie of like the going down on the butt and like scooting on their like hands, like hitting a wall and literally just like shocked, like white face, could not speak. And their friend literally had to pick them up and carry them out of the room because they were in complete and utter like shock. And so that one's definitely a highlight. Made me feel real good about myself. One from this season, and this was just stupid, but it's funny. And that's the thing is, I always like to tell people, try the dumb kind of stuff because that usually gets great reactions. If it seems weird in your head, just try it, see how it works. And this is kind of a good example of it. So I had created this dumb character that's just doot doot. And for people that haven't seen or don't know what it is, it's literally just a black morph suit with this like white mask, has eyeballs all over it. I would run around with a recorder in my mouth and a cat toy, basically, with just a little like string noodle thing on the end of it. You could kind of whip it around. Been running around with that, and I'm normally a crowd actor, but I'll kind of just go all over the place in the haunt too, check up on all the actors and everything. So there's this outdoor attraction where it was kind of like a witchy kind of vibe. It was out in this area we call the Hill. And I was chatting with a couple actors in this one little hut. We heard a group coming, and I told the other actor, Jackson, I was like, hey, you can go ahead and take this one if you want. And he was like, no, you go ahead. I've been doing it for a while. And I'm like, okay. So me just being stupid, all I did was take the cat toy and just stick it out of the hut. I didn't even do anything, or I did that and did a little doot on my recorder. Just blew into that like one time and just had the cat toy, and I kid you not, the whole entire group domino effect like fell over. And me and Jackson are cracking up, being like, why did this work? But it did. So then we just like ran out after them and like chasing them throughout the like rest of the scene. But it's always the silly ones like that that are like some of the most memorable to me. So
Yeah,
Please tell me you tried to play the Willy Wonka thing that Gene Wilder's Willy Wonka played on his little mini
oh
on his
boy, I
penny
couldn't play that
flute.
thing for crap. I probably got on everyone's nerves because it was just poorly executed recorder playing.
Because I'm showing it to all the hosts here.
Oh
It's
yeah.
on my screen. There's
it's
Dude.
beautiful.
I saw that pop up on your story and I was like, oh my god, are you kidding me?
And
But
It's
yeah.
like
dumb, but it's got great
I see all
scares.
these. It's like from you, I see all these like extremely detailed characters like Ungir, in very. know I butchered that again.
Oh, it's Invery. That's all it is. You're good.
But I say all these very detailed characters, and then it's just like,
and then this dumb thing, yeah. And the part was, it just like, I had so many actors come up to me that were like, oh my god, I think this is like my favorite thing you've ever done. I'm like, oh, thanks, excuse the $1,000 costume over here.
Honestly. But your story, it's funny because that's something I try to tell a lot of the new actors. It's like, if you feel like you look completely stupid and embarrassed with what you're doing, you actually probably look terrifying to those customers.
Yeah, for real.
Because they're already on edge. And if you're just doing something a little slightly unnormal, they hate it.
Yep.
They're done. They want to leave.
Any way to make yourself look less human, you know?
Oh, yeah, because, I mean, some of the people at Netherworld, like some of our head guys, particularly in the mass department, and Jake, you know what kind of chaos and shenanigans happens when the mass department steps into scene. Someone had stolen the gigantic black rubber chicken out of the mask room and ran into Halloween Nightmares with it.
Bless.
They were standing in B hallway, and I'm not going to say his name because I'm going to try to get him on one of these episodes. I don't want to, just have him sock the crap out of me next season whenever he sees me next. He's standing behind the curtain, and I'm standing there waiting to go through for a next group in Cyborg Shock, and I look over. There's this gigantic creature, and I can't say what creature it is because Jake will know who it is, standing at the curtain with a gigantic black rubber chicken in his hand, looking like that, just looking through that curtain, just waiting. He comes through, runs his clacker glove down the entire wall like he usually does, and I just give it away. I just gave it away there for Jake. And he just honks the rubber chicken right at customers. And I'm all the way down at the other end of the hall, and I hear these customers literally just garling at how badly he scared them with a rubber chicken.
Beautiful.
These are the same guys that have literally done a rubber chicken cover of My Heart Will Go On.
I remember you sending me that.
I need to hear this.
I want Courtney to play My Heart Will Go On that recorder and just see how it affects people.
That would be a
Need
treat.
some practice, but that would be amazing.
Yeah,
the worse you play it, the better.
Yeah, the worse you play it, the better.
I kept just like fiddling with it, trying to get it to make like really weird, and I got it to the point where I could make it sound like shrieks and like other just weird stuff, and that's all I was really wanting. But
as someone who grew up with a toy, like with a recorder as a toy, you can make ungodly noises with that thing.
Yeah.
Some people like to use Aztec death whistles in haunts.
Exactly.
She uses
overrated. Who needs it?
Aztec death whistle, Schmaztec fleth whistle.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just wanted to chime in there because
I'm having a stroke. I'm fine.
Hearing what Emma was saying about if you look stupid, you're probably doing it even better than you would if you didn't look stupid. That's the first thing that popped into my mind, is how some of these people in the mass department stole the rubber chicken and used it to scare people in the first show this past year at Netherworld.
It works. Sometimes being silly is terrifying if you can deliver it right.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. But yeah, I just wanted to chime in with that. My
clown Beep Beep, she does quote unquote twerking. I call it cat. I call it the cat where I look like a cat about to throw up. And some people, I'll do it at them and they hate it. Like they're so uncomfortable. And meanwhile, like me and my other sliders and like, security and stuff, we're laughing because it's like, no, what is that? What is that? Why is she doing this?
Because reasons.
Because it's effective and it's art.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
I remember, honestly, every time that I do a failed scare or something, I'll just embrace it. Like if it doesn't scare them and they're just like not impressed, I just embrace it and I turn it into like a comedic thing. And it's embarrassing, but I'm also like, you know what? They don't know the difference.
Yeah. I mean, like, as you should. Like, if you just make it entertaining for yourself at that point. And like, or actually, it's like, if you can't scare them, just entertain them,
Yeah, that's my go-to.
But, and actually, y'all talking about this, it made me think of another story. Are y'all cool with me sharing this?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay. All right. So when it comes to this other story, I'm just going to call it the Kiss the Wall story. So it's it's kind of known for like a lot of the crowd actors. We all just kind of mess with each other and do really just dumb things out in the crowd. Like if it tells you anything, there's this one guy, we call him Springer, and he's the one to notoriously crack everybody up. Uh, he would always make me like break or nearly break out of character, like having to hide somewhere in a corner to laugh with some of the stuff he would do. Like there was one time where, I'm over here like trying to be intimidating, doing my thing, stalking, whatever. And then I see him out of the corner just skipping down the midway with this ribbon thing in his hand, twirling it around his head. Where he got it from? No clue. But just stuff like this, it just happens out of nowhere, and you just have to figure out how to handle it in the moment. So, with that kind of context in mind, there was this one night where I was doing Alloy, which is my clown character, and I was going around. There was this one chick in particular that every time she would see me, she would immediately bolt. Like, just sprint, run away. And of course, when you see someone sprinting, you gotta chase after them. So I did said thing, and she had this habit of constantly going to this one wall in particular. And after like the third time of doing this, I decided to just kind of confront her about it. And had like a little lecture, and I was just like, you know what? I guess you and this wall are just destined to be together. You're soulmates. It's twine and fate. You gotta do it. It's a thing. So I tell you what. And then like three other crowd actors kind of came up at the same time, like around corners, just seemingly out of nowhere. And we're like, all right, if you love that wall so much, kiss the wall. And then it's just like, yeah, kiss the wall. And so everybody's just screaming at her to kiss this wall until she finally does it. And then we ended up just calling her Wall Girl. And I kept seeing her like at other points of the night, because I told her, I was like, you have to tend to this wall. This wall is your responsibility now. And so it got to the point where I could literally just point in the general direction with my sickle, friendly contact, which is the name of the blade. And she would just like run back to the wall. Like if she left it. So anytime like I'd see her out in the midway somewhere, I would just point friendly contact, and she would just run back to the wall. So that was a dumb one,
Obedient lady.
And it's funny because for people that have been following you for a while, we know a little something about Alloy that you got a little bit of a simp problem.
Oh, good
Alloy.
Lord, yeah.
I think I just gave her some flashbacks
that.
about this.
That I did not want, but it happened anyway.
I'm gonna sidetrack really quick. I started following you. I was scrolling on my For You page, and you had that. It was that mask that looks like a skinned dog.
Yeah, that's
or whatever. And I remember I commented on like every video. I was just like, I cannot help it. I love you so much.
And by this point, I'm just like, it's whatever. It's fine.
Yeah, no, your stuff is always just, I get happy when you're on my page.
Oh, well, thank you, dear.
Yeah, and I can second that because, I mean, the first time I saw anything from you, it was with a Scatterbrain. Mm-hmm. And then I saw that you did Ungir. Yes. And I am a sucker for a good Wendigo. Mm-hmm. I love Wendigos to death. And the fact that you had the mask from Immortal, the one that I've always wanted, I'm sitting there just like shaking my fist at the sky, just like, yo.
Man, I wanted that thing for years. So when I had to save for so long to get it. So when I finally did, I was like, I'm gonna do this thing justice.
But yeah, I mean, that's the thing is you have such a big repertoire of different characters you can pull out. And it's like, because you got Alloy and Veery, Ungir, Scatterbrain. Am I missing any more? Oh, Clover.
Yeah,
we can't forget Clover. We can't forget.
Simp for everything that you do.
Much appreciated.
But yeah, I mean, that's all I gotta say is that, I mean, you got a simp problem with your clown. I don't know why.
Yeah,
I don't know what's wrong with these people, but...
All right. From one clown to another, we know that sometimes people just have a secret clown...
like a fetish, almost.
Yeah,
You can
I
say
didn't want to
fetish.
say it, but
You
okay.
can say fetish.
A secret clown
It's not a
fetish,
naughty
and
word.
the only reason that they ever realize it is because of people like us.
Yeah, we just awake something in them.
Yeah.
It's like
We
I didn't know I
awake
had
them
this
and
thing, but here
confuse
it
them.
is. Mm-hmm.
Oh, trust me. Until you have someone literally start moaning from firing up a prop taser at them in Cyborg Shock at
I
Netherworld,
remember.
That's another level. Oh God.
and I get Macy, who was the collector, our mascot's handler that night, to record his reaction in character as the collector, her asking him his thoughts on people like that. Because I
Mhm.
was on a full-blown mission to try to get Ian to crack up, and I hope we can get Ian on the show because he is such a cool dude. I was on a mission all season long to get Ian to break character because he's one of the best at Netherworld on not breaking character.
Mhm.
You can ask him the stupidest thing and he will not break.
I feel
And
like him and Lee too. Like I absolutely adore Lee.
oh, Lee.
God, he was one of the ones that made me fall in love with Netherworld, and like their crowd interaction is just amazing.
Yeah, Halloween night they did a slider limbo shootout for all the actors and all that because we all went to the Midway to do our cast photo for the year. And Lee tried to do a face first baseball slide underneath the limbo pole,
Oh God.
completely ground his crotch into the concrete.
Oof.
And I remember specifically because I was standing behind the collector when this happened. I have it on video. And when he did that, I said, and it was at that moment Lee Pennington knew he no longer had a penis. And then Ian, as the collector, turns his head and looks up to me, and I just hear him in the collector's voice, "If he ever did, little pee-pee." So, I mean, but yeah, I mean, I don't know how we just got so sidetracked, but I guess, hey, welcome to Demonic Discussions.
I was literally just messaging Emma. I'm like, we need to get back on track at this point. So
yeah, Emma, was that all the questions you had?
Yeah, that was all the questions I had. We can pass it on over to Mizzy.
hi.
Cool.
Okay. All right. So
The TikTokers.
yeah, it's the TikTokers. We're talking now. Nobody else is allowed to pitch in. So
Silence.
well, actually, Emma. Yeah, silence, simp. All right. So I have 3 questions for you. So
Mhm.
my first one is, if you had to be stuck in a horror movie with one of your characters, which would you choose and why?
Oh, good Lord. That's actually a really good question. I dig that.
you.
That's
I
really
love
creative.
that.
Yeah. You don't hear things like that. Stuck in a horror movie with one of my characters. Oh God. This is a toughie.
A good thing to also go off of is if like you could choose like a character that you'd want to see a horror movie of, but you're the survivor girl or something.
Okay. Well, when it comes to like, I guess, ease of survival, I'd say Scatterbrain would probably be the easiest to survive against.
Yeah, totally.
Just simply because, and granted, TikTok has kind of like romanticized or made like Scatterbrain really cute. When in reality, if people saw how I actually acted as Scatterbrain in The Haunt, it is 2 completely different things.
Yeah, no, it is.
The kind of audios that I used for Scatterbrain, I mainly just kind of leaned into it because everybody found them cute for whatever reason. And I was like, okay, whatever. I'm just gonna go in this and I'm cool with it. But how that character actually acts in The Haunt is about what you would expect, like crazy psycho, going in between like just very like to themselves, like twitching kind of like in their own head, to like very outwardly being aggressive and all that. But when it comes to horror movie wise, I feel like Scatterbrain would be easy to survive. They're in a straitjacket. They're restrictive.
Yeah.
Or being restricted. However, like wanting to see a horror movie of, I feel like Alloy or Clover would be the most interesting. And their personalities are similar, but still like really different in a lot of ways. Like Clover is kind of more like the gentlemanly, like almost that serial killer kind of vibe. That's the best way I can describe it, like generalized. Whereas Alloy, how you kind of see him on camera is a lot different at times.
Mm-hmm.
Like the voice I do for him is like ridiculously gruff. I think I posted like one video where I was talking with Rag, aka Springer, where we were having like a back and forth and kind of showing like what he
Yeah.
sounds like. But it's very much like just nasty, gross clown, but also stuck in a time or a point in time, because he's supposed to be from like early 1900s. If y'all know what the Hartford Circus fire is, it's like an actual historic event, like happened in the 1940s, I believe. That's kind of the storyline for Alloy, is that died in that fire, was resurrected by a Ark's character named Prophet, and brought to Arks to serve in the Legion. But Alloy is very much still stuck in that timeline, kind of will speak in that sort of manner, is very out of touch with like technology and things of that nature. Like
He's
the
a
little,
grandpa.
yeah, basically, like I have that moment all the time where people will be playing like on their phones, and Alloy will come up to them and just be like, all your little demon box, like, how do you work this thing? Like, or trying to poke on their phone, whatever, trying to like fiddle with it, things of that nature. Or kind of like a little random thing is the teddy bear on Alloy's costume is supposed to be like a salvage thing from their child that died in the fire. So I have like little weird kind of storyline things for my characters like that aren't generally known, but if it's like asked about or something by
No, it,
patrons
it
that are
brings in depth, and it
curious.
also gives you kind of like, if something is ever brought up, it gives you this platform to really improvise off of, because you've already like have this fleshed out like idea of who this character is, so you can embody them better, which is
Oh yeah,
really
for
neat.
sure. It really makes you just delve in that mindset a lot easier too, I think.
For
So,
sure.
sorry, I know I like jumped off the deep end on that one, but
No, I think that does play and answer my question, because I think if you were to have a horror movie for like Alloy or something, you'd have like that kind of answer gives you like an idea of what it would be like, which is really neat. So, okay. So my second question is, what was the process of discovering your character's makeup, and like how did the makeup design really help you figure out their personality?
well, when it comes to like process wise, I will say that like my costumes will always come first. Like putting all the elements together for that and like having that fully developed. And then that's when I start fiddling with makeup, so that way I can make sure it'll match the costume correctly, and maybe like the colors will match, all that sort of stuff. But a good example is Alloy, because when I first developed him, and y'all are probably going to crack up at this, Lee's old gypsy clown helped inspired the Alloy makeup, with like how he had like a mustache kind of situation, or
Oh,
like, so I made Alloy like his smile almost look like the curls of a mustache, or just things like that. Like it'll be a combination of all these different elements. Like I'm sure y'all know like Sven Puss too, so I'm inspired by Sven Puss as well. So it's a weird combination of all these different elements that help me incorporate all my makeup together. But and I can be inspired by like the weirdest things. And like I actually talked about this in my Instagram story today, but things in everyday life can be so inspiring. It's just like if you pay attention to them, like you can even see something as simple as like think a wood grain texture. Like I'm looking at this table beside me and I see like the texture of this wood. Something like that. The lines of that can be incorporated into a makeup. There's just so many things that can be inspiring, and just taking note of that and figuring out how to tie elements like that together to form something creative and different. So, but yeah, does that answer the question? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And my last one is, what kind of creatures, characters, or actors inspired your top 3 favorite characters that you play?
Uh, let's see. Like what in general, like characters and creatures that inspired the
Yeah,
characters
like
themselves?
what inspired like Alloy or something? Like which characters are probably your favorite to play, and then what inspired the creation of them?
Uh, I mean, I kind of went into that a little bit on this last one, but I'll kind of like
Yeah.
flesh out a little bit. Like with Alloy, I had Victorian kind of fashion inspire him a lot,
Mm-hmm.
and tying all those elements together with it. Sorry, taking a sippy. But let's see, another one that might be good for this. Like Ungir too, I knew that that was going to be like a Wendigo character, but I also wanted them to be like a scavenger of sorts too. So they're almost like a trophy hunter. So on their costume, I'm going to put like bits of bone, like fragments and fur and like, you know, all this other stuff from things they might have killed. So there's like the original tales of like the Wendigo that you hear of, but kind of taking my own version of that to create Ungir. So it's kind of just taking a concept or something and just, I guess, twisting it to how I want to use it, if that makes any sense.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, like my brain is kind of all over the place when it comes to things that like inspire me for
Yeah.
characters.
No,
Because
I
usually
get.
it's a lot of trial and error for the most
Mm-hmm.
part too. And I normally will like sketch things out also.
Yeah. With my clown, when I first made her, my mom had this old polka dot summer dress. And I just grabbed that, and that was kind of the core. That was
Oh
the
my gosh,
starting
the
point.
OG candy.
And then it just kind of developed and it grew from there. So I know what you mean. Like you kind
Yeah,
of
like that's a perfect example right there. Just having something that's a core element and building around that. It's like there's
yeah.
so many different ways and like techniques to like build a character. So
Mm-hmm.
for me, like I feel like there's no like one way to say like, oh yeah, this is my exact thing of how I do this because me and my like ADHD brain is all over the place
Yeah,
for the
yeah,
most part.
no.
And so I'm like, this thing over here, and this thing, and this thing, and this thing. I will say one of my big tips to any person that does scare acting or like cosplaying or, you know, anything like that, go to thrift stores, go to antique
Oh,
stores.
for
Oh my
real.
gosh, those are your
Because
best
good
friends.
God, yeah, like that is the best place to find stuff, I swear. And even actually, yeah, like with Clover, 80% of that costume is stuff that was like antiques. Like the brooch on there, the like jars were actual like antique jars. Um, the glasses were from like this old like glasses case, and open it, and it's just like all kind of like peeled in there and everything. There's no telling whose glasses that once was, but you know, it just adds depth to it, I think, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah,
Yeah. Well, thank you for answering my questions. That was excellent.
no worries, dearie. But take more sips.
Okay, looks like I'm next.
Yes, you are.
Awesome. So I guess I really only have one question for you, and I zoned out a little bit, so I apologize if you touched on this a little bit already.
Oh, no, that's cool.
But I wanted to ask you, what are some of your favorite brands of makeup to use? Since you're a makeup artist before you were an actor, what are some of your favorite makeup brands to use? And like some high-end ones, but maybe also some cheap ones. Do you prefer different palettes or or like do you prefer airbrush to cream makeup or
Mm.
what's up?
Okay, I got you. Um, so in the makeup realm of things, I will always use an airbrush. Airbrush is your friend. It will make your process so much faster, like easy to apply. So like that's like my go-to thing is airbrush. I love Graftobian's FX Air. I like European Body Art's Endura makeup as well. So that's a really good one. And actually, touching on that, EBA has some really good like customizable palettes too, where you can just take these little pans and kind of exchange them out for like alcohol based makeup, because really anything alcohol based, that is what I mainly use at the haunt, because at the end of the day we need our makeup to work through the sweat or rain or, you know, anything like that. Like arcs is indoor outdoor, and we actually have a swamp area where there's people in ghillie suits running through water. And so, like, we need makeup that's going to be able to withstand that kind of environment. So, at the end of the day, it's always going to be the alcohol makeup. Another thing too is PPI's alcohol-based palettes are great too. So I will always recommend those as well. Water-based, I usually go with Graftobian if I use anything. That will usually just go like right under the eye or whatnot. But yeah, I'm pretty kind of straightforward with the makeups I use. I'm a creature of habit, so I always go to my alcohol-based makeups, my airbrush, and then just like water-based for like little touch-up things and under eye stuff. So hopefully that answers it. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. That's those are really good tips. All right, did anybody else have any more questions?
I actually have a couple, and this will actually kind of go a
I
little bit
have
deeper.
one.
I
Okay.
kind of have another too.
It's really quick. I was gonna say, how's your day going?
Oh gosh.
So
You're a
wholesome.
little
Oh
bean.
my god.
That's Goob.
Happy to have a lazy day. That's for sure.
Oh,
'Cause,
what a blessing.
yeah. After working all throughout the week, we drive an hour to work. Sometimes it's kind of exhausting, but it's kind of nice just to have a chill weekend day, you know. I might make some content. Don't know. We'll see.
I'm just curious. What do you do? Like, what are y'all's jobs?
Oh yeah, we both work at the same place. We work at Oral Arts Dental Lab, so
Okay.
we make teefies for a living.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
I did kind of come up with another question. I don't remember what brought it up, but
Oh yeah, that's true.
obviously we're in this horrible, awful pandemic. Do you think the haunt industry is going to change in any way post-pandemic once we're all vaccinated and free?
Absolutely, at least for like the next couple of years, because think about so many like scare tactics or like the people that revert to like gross stuff. I know that I do. I used to literally drool all over myself and fake vomit on myself.
Oh, I
Me
love
too.
to drool.
And this is disgusting, and I will probably be shamed for this, but there was one time where someone literally took their gum out of their mouth and were like, I bet you won't eat this, and I'm just like, and put chewed gum in my mouth, like. And now thinking about it, I will probably never do something like that again, because
I know, like, there was obviously I love calling it a pandemic. Pre-pandemic.
Pre-Panera bread.
Pre-Panera bread. Pre-Panera bread, not free. I wish.
Pre-Pangea. I'm sorry, I'll stop.
But pre-pandemic, we would all do stupid stuff like that. Like, I've licked the ground before. And now, like, you sit there and you think about, like, we're sitting here quarantining, having to be social distance. And you're like, I really have been that disgusting. And I'm not dead.
Well, and even then, like, I'll say it's kind of strange because normally for me, like, real life, I'm a germaphobe.
Oh, same.
I'm pretty much a germaphobe. It just clicks, you know, when you're in character, and it just all goes out the window, and you're like, all right, let me just do all this stuff now. But yeah, I do think that the next few years, things are going to be changing a little bit in how scaring is handled. And I wouldn't be surprised if people leave up like sanitizing stations and things of that nature, because people are going to probably be more health conscious for a little bit, or, you know, the ones that are a little bit more like sensible with it. But I do think it's going to influence at least the acting part of it, just because we were like conditioned in this way, and now it's going to be considered like the new normal for a bit. And then when things actually start settling in, and we're like, oh, okay, we can actually like chill with this, and maybe it'll go back to the way it was. But time will tell on that one. I'll say for myself especially, I'm probably going to be continuing to be more cautious for a while. So
yeah, definitely.
See, I never licked things or ate people's chewed gum. I just drooled a lot. So
don't be like me. Please don't. That was a horrible level.
The one thing I will say to any haunt owners or scene builders out there, please, for the love of God, get rid of your claustrophobia tunnels. Those things were
I was going to
say
that's the biggest thing that I hope is gone after the pandemic, because I hated going through them before anything happened. I go through backwards with my hands up.
Yes.
Just screaming, because it's like people's faces are all over it.
It's like, I don't want y'all's oils.
open their mouth because they're scared. Their mouths are grazing against it, and then I get to rub my face against it.
Exactly.
Please get rid
You
of your
see-
claustrophobia tunnels. They are disgusting. And while I understand, cool, it's a fun scare, but think about how gross that is. You are
And
not
not to-
sanitizing
I
enough.
don't know if we have one.
We don't.
Okay.
I don't
And
think we ever
actually,
have.
You talking about that, like things like that, or the tunnels, like the little spinny tunnels too.
Vortex tunnel.
Yeah, the vortex tunnels, things like that are probably going to have to be changed, or because every haunt has them, and people are to the point where they're getting desensitized and be like, oh yeah, we expect this to happen now. So I'm thinking that it's also going to get to a point where there's going to be an overhaul of like haunt trendy things that are in them. You know what I'm saying? Because like every haunt is going to have a certain scene. So
Mhm.
Yeah,
that's
like
a whole other thing.
a 3D clown scene, a vortex tunnel.
Yeah. Or chainsaws or whatever. You know, like
I'm sure in the future we're gonna have a
I
lot
gotta
of like
say, chainsaws never get old.
outbreaks.
yeah.
Yeah, where are the clown boos at with their little drill horn guns? Where
What were you
clown
saying,
boos?
Hazel?
Oh, I was gonna say chainsaws never get old for me.
Yeah,
too.
I'm saying like in the essence of how
But,
there's a lot of haunts that'll have chainsaws at the very end. You know what I'm saying? Like, and
Yeah,
yeah.
we put ours in the middle after a couple of years because we were like, this is too expected, but we want to keep the effect, so let's throw it in between two of the scenes because we're kind of like you were.
yeah,
We're indoor outdoor. Our haunts on a golf course, and what we have a couple of scenes that are up year round. We don't take down, but most of them are on what are they? Picnic patios. So we have to build it from the walls up every year, and you walk into a scene, then you're outside in between the scenes. So
okay, yeah.
we're kind of indoor outdoor. We have our chainsaw in between two of our scenes.
Yeah, ours
So
is
he
kind of like
chases
that
you from
too, going
A little
indoor, outdoor like that.
unexpected.
Cameron, did
what-
you have questions, by the way?
Yeah. But just going off of what we were talking about, how some scares are going to go and some things are going to come on the rise when it comes to that. In this post-COVID apocalyptic wasteland that we call the US of A now,
Yeah.
Honestly, I can see a major rise of noisemakers for one, obviously, because you can hit them from a distance and it will still get them, especially if it's a loud enough noisemaker. Number two, I can definitely see a rise of sliders because they're not in facial range. They're down below. Most people, when they slide, they're going more towards an angle. They're going towards you at an angle instead of coming right into your face.
Yeah, true.
But it's still an effective scare because obviously when that plastic and metal hits the concrete, it's loud enough. People all the way in the back of the queue line is going to hear it.
Yeah, nobody likes the sound coming at their ankles.
Yeah, so I mean,
Yeah,
I
that
can
or the sparks or whatever.
Yeah.
Which
So-
Cody Wright, aka Mr. Walking Fire Hazard.
Yeah,
But,
really.
yeah, he's awesome though. I love Mr. Sparky though.
Love him to
That's
bits.
what I like to call him.
Slide
But
Jesus.
yeah, I could see sliding definitely becoming a bigger tactic in the haunt world, just due to the fact, like I said, it's a lot more you doing your own thing away from the customers, but still being able to get them as you're going away from them.
For sure.
And it's over in a flash, but it's still going to last with them because they heard the sound and their mind's so disoriented on where it came from. And, you know, different stuff like that, I could definitely see going more on the rise. But yeah, so my questions that I had, first off, it's going to kind of delve deeper into the psychology side of things.
Ooh, fun.
So when it comes to your different characters that you portray, and like I said earlier, you have quite a portfolio of different characters you can choose to perform from night to night, depending on where you are, what you're feeling. When it comes to that, with your psychology that you bring to each of those individual characters, where exactly is your thought process in adding these separate layers of their mentality and their psychology of how they act as a being that quote unquote takes over you when you throw all the makeup and the mask and the costume and all on?
True. Well, when it comes to like the psychology of them, for me, I have to be like in the makeup and in the costume in order to act. Like if you told me right now, like, oh, hey, can you do Alloy's voice? Like I wouldn't be able to. I have to be in it in order to do it. But I usually have a pretty set trope of what I want them to be, a pretty set personality. So that way I can kind of feed off of that. Or like having a backstory too, like I was talking about Alloy earlier. So the fact that they survived a circus fire, well, technically they died in it, were resurrected, brought to Arcs. So the fact that they died in that, watched their whole family die, having things like that, trauma that you can kind of pull from in order to influence the acting part of it. Or like Alloy had a child. So in the acting world, I don't go after children at all. If anything, I'm very much like kind to them. That's like the soft spot for me. So it's little things like that that'll influence it. Or like going into maybe Ungir, you know, since they're just like a savage Wendigo beast, thinking about the psychology of that, it's kind of stripped in a way, just down to the feral level. So like just how would a wild dog act, you know, like, and just pulling from something like that. So just having like a baseline of what it is and making sure that I'm constantly just keeping that in mind as I'm acting. So if you have, you know, a character that you've built and whatnot, it's a good idea to just go ahead and have like a general backstory for them. It doesn't have to be like super in depth or anything, because it's just a good thing to pull from to help influence your acting and like their own personality and psychology and all that. So yeah, that's kind of the gist on that one.
Okay. And for my final question that I got for you, when it comes to when you're inventing these characters that you create, and I think we might have touched somewhat on this lightly, I'm not sure. But when it comes to creating these different characters, what exactly are your inspirations that makes you say, huh, I want to make a character out of that?
Mm-hmm.
That would be really cool in the haunt.
Usually for me, how it all kind of starts out is just a general idea. Like this is kind of my process. So I'll have whatever general idea it might be. So whether it be the, like with Invery, which is like a voodoo witchy situation, or having Alloy the Clown, or Clover, which is a grave robber. So just taking that, and then also going into researching various like historical periods. Like with Clover, you know, he's supposed to be kind of like, I'd say also Victorian-esque. So researching into that, that'll help influence costume, that'll help influence like language and all that sort of thing. So that puts you in a nice general direction of where to go. And then it's just kind of free roam from there and kind of pulling from whatever else might inspire you. Like we were talking about earlier, you might have like a core item and you're going to pull from that, and that'll help influence you and inspire you. Or for me, I like having individual little elements, like shopping at antique stores and thrift stores. With Clover, like I was talking about, I have a little bottle of teeth. Then there's real teeth in it. Or the like candle on his shoulder, like since he's a grave robber, that's going to help him like light his way. And having little elements like that will also just help tell the patron kind of what they're about and get her like general feel for them, and also can create like intrigue as a point for conversation, like if you're a crowd actor or something. So but yeah, when it comes to like general inspiration, I know it's not the best answer, but I literally pull from everything and anything around me. Like it can be something so simple and I just can pull from that, and that can be like a whole realm of possibilities, because my brain just that's just the way it works for me. So
Yeah. And I if you've kept track of any of the other episodes, or if anyone watching has kind of followed along from the start of the podcast to where we are now, you'll notice I have a trend to keep those two questions in no matter what is asked from the other hosts or from myself, because I like to see where, how other haunters tick. I like to see what makes them think about their different processes.
Yeah, I was curious if you were going to ask that, because I think those are two really good questions to keep in.
Yeah, I will always keep that in for haunters because like I said, I like to see where other people come from. And I like I said, I like to see how people tick when it comes to creating their different characters and all this different stuff with all that. So, but yeah, that's all I've got question wise. Has anyone else got anything? No?
All my questions have been answered.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
My
All right.
queries have been pondered. I don't know.
Okay.
Awesome.
Well,
all right. Well,
I think that will do it, guys. Don't you think?
Sure.
All right. So once again, thank you so much, Courtney, for being willing to come and hang out with us and chat with us for a bit.
Sure.
If you got any social medias or anything that you'd like to plug, you can go on and plug it as much as you want. Everyone, just be sure to go check her out. We'll have all of her links and her different ats down in the description of this episode, so you can go check her out on whatever platforms that she's plugging here.
Cool. Thanks. Yeah, the only two things I use is Instagram and TikTok. They're both under the same name of Sacre Coeur 96. All right. So it's SACRECOEUR 96. And yeah, it is only the Instagram and the TikTok. I don't do Snapchat. I don't do Facebook. Don't do any of that other jazz. It is just that.
All right. And yeah, guys, so be sure to go check her out. She puts out some amazing content, very, very detailed characters, beautiful work that she does. I know y'all can't really see this, but we're having a full-on dance party in the Zoom call here, and Mom, come
Can't
pick
stop
me
the
up. I'm
vibe.
scared.
It's
Mom,
called
come
We're
pick me up. I'm
Making New
scared.
Spooky Friends.
Yeah.
But yeah, so go check Courtney out. And Courtney, like I said, thank you so much for being able to come hang out with us and whatnot. And hopefully we'll be able to get you, and who knows, we might be able to have Mark on for a future episode.
Okay.
Yes, it's wonderful to have met you.
Yeah, y'all
It's always
too.
exciting getting
this
to
has
meet
been
more
awesome.
people in the industry.
I'm always
For sure.
like you and I have been like friends on TikTok for a while, and we like each other. Never talked, so I'm really glad we had this opportunity.
Oh, for sure. Maybe one of these days it can be in person with everybody.
Oh,
That's
be
the
fun.
dream.
Well,
Yeah.
I've already mentioned it that I want to be able to get the podcast crew out to ARCs whenever they do the giant guest actor weekends. So
See, like, y'all aren't that far away. Like, that's what makes me so happy. Because
I mean, two of us are in Seattle.
Hi.
yeah, I saw we. That's a drive. But
I'm
y'all-
from Georgia.
y'all are-
I have family there, so I do
Okay.
hope that at one point in a
Cool.
weekend in October, I can like come down and guest act at Netherworld, or we do a tour up to like you guys, or just go. Just go
well,
wild.
I am going to try to piece together a southeast slider meetup in Atlanta somewhere. So maybe
Try and get the
maybe
crew.
schedules can align. Maybe you might be able to bring Dalton over. I know about him a good bit. You know, you arts people are definitely invited to any kind of meetups that we plan.
Okay. Well, thank you.
noted-
And yeah, y'all are welcome to come out anytime there too, because this is the thing is we're just so open with people in general, so it can be like normal season too. Yeah, like
Okay.
seriously, like we're completely open with that sort of stuff, and we have a thing we say is just like once you're Legion, you're always Legion. So if
Yeah,
people
and
come there, that's how
what
it be.
that's what Ben Armstrong says is once you join the Nether Spawn, you're always a Nether Spawn, no matter where you are.
Oh yeah,
And we definitely get that. So
bring
but yeah,
that
we
hot
will-
fam aspect.
our paths will definitely cross here soon, because I mean we're not that far away. I believe
Only a few
Killen's from McDonough, where I live. Killen is about 5 hours, because y'all are right there tiptoeing the Tennessee line.
Yes, sir.
But yeah, I have a good feeling in the very distant future, once COVID passes, maybe our paths will cross. So yeah, so everyone watching at home, if you've stuck around this long, thank you guys so much for sticking around and just hearing us ramble on. I mean, let's be honest, this podcast is nothing really organized much. Typically,
We're just here to talk shop.
yeah, I can't really say the name that I call the podcast at times because PG, but yeah.
I almost just
if you-
cussed just to spite you.
Just to make it harder.
Don't make Jake reach through the screen.
We have
please,
to swear
okay?
like it's the good place, like mother forking shirt balls.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Jake literally just saw everything. He saw his life just flash before his very eyes there.
I said the good. If you watch the Good
I
Place,
know.
they censor themselves, and there's a whole song about it.
Oh yeah. But yeah, so everyone watching at home, if you stuck around this long, thank you so much. Be sure to drop a like on this video. If you got any guest suggestions as to who you want to see on the show, be sure to drop it down in the comments for us, and we will check it out, and we'll try to get in touch with them and see if we can get them on for an episode. You can check out our official social media platforms. I'm going to let my co-hosts actually finally get a chance to plug their social medias if they would like. You can follow the podcast on Instagram at Demonic Discussions. You'll see our logo with our glorious leader, Numday. You can follow me on Instagram at Killing Machine Sarge. And my other co-hosts, if you'd like to take over, y'all can definitely go on and plug your social medias.
You can find me on Instagram at The Monster in the Closet.
You can go ahead, Mizzy.
I'm like, okay, you can find me on TikTok and Instagram as Mad Mischief. Mad MISCHIEF.
You finally learned how to spell it correctly.
Shut up. I was wondering too. I'm like, how does Courtney manage to know how to spell her username, and I struggle with mine.
It's because it's French, and like I used to take French. Literally, all it means is Sacred Heart.
See, I know. I mean, English is like my only language, and I still struggle. So
yeah. Oh no, I get you. I'm sure there was points throughout this whole episode where I was like, like not even knowing how to English, but that's just how my brain do.
Yeah, and you can find me on Instagram under Undead Irma, Undead ERMA. You can find me on Twitter and TikTok under Seattle Zombabe, ZOMBABE.
And I actually have one more because I'm also on TikTok. I make a bunch of stupid TikToks at times. You can find me same place, Killing Machine Sarge on TikTok as well. It's the same as my Instagram. Be sure to go check it out. And also, if you're watching this, if you're not subscribed already, why don't you do us a favor and drop us a subscribe on the channel? You can also click the bell right next to the sub button, so that way you can be notified when we upload a next episode or different types of content. I got a couple cool things lined up that I'll be posting on the channel as well, besides just the podcast. So yeah, thank you guys so much for tuning in for episode 5 of the Demonic Discussions podcast with our special guest star, Courtney Matson. And we will catch you guys in the next episode. Thank you guys for tuning in, and we will see you guys soon.
No.
And we're back for one more thing because Cameron forgot.
Yeah, we had to start the recording on the episode again because I am an absolute idiot. Look, I gave myself carpal tunnel trying to make my new
just
slider
announce
pads.
the next guest.
But, okay, hey, chill out there, you little feisty demon. But anyway, so our next special guest on the next episode, we do not have details announced just yet as to when we can record, but our next guest on the Demonic Discussions podcast is going to be Jean-Luc O'Connell. And if you can hear just that high-pitched squeaking
Only
in the
your
background
dogs
there.
are able to pick up my scream.
Hazel.
Hazel simps at Sonic sounds.
Say it.
Yeah,
you
so-
can say
Mizzy.
it. You can
What?
say it. You can say it. Who is John Luke to you? Who is
That's
John
my
Luke?
motherfucking boyfriend, bitches.
So
I'm not going to edit that out.
Thank
That's
you.
your 2 cuss word passes for you for the episode.
Tree.
I
Hey,
have
with
2.
PG-13, you get
Yes.
one F. So
Okay,
the only
everybody.
one we
All
get.
right. See you guys in the next episode.
Have a lovely day.